Last year, just before Bloom, I started experiencing excruciating pain in my back and shoulder area. I mean, completely debilitating pain. I hadn't fallen or sustained an injury, and the pain was inexplicable. As the days got closer, the pain got worse. Doctors, medicine, every home remedy I could think of, nothing helped. I committed to the setup team and was bringing several items for Bloom, or I honestly would not have even gone. The prospect of sitting through the weekend was not something I was looking forward to. I couldn't drive myself. I couldn't lift anything. I couldn't even hold my phone in my hand. I stayed at the hotel and missed the Friday night session because I was in so much pain. Saturday came, and throughout the day, without me asking, many women came to me and prayed over me. As they prayed, I felt a stirring in my spirit, but I really wasn't sure what it was. I felt so distracted and frustrated by the pain that it was hard to discern what was happening in the spirit, honestly. What I did know was that I felt an overwhelming pull on me to ask a specific woman to pray for me. But here's the thing, I didn't know her. I didn't know anything about her gifting, and perhaps it was pride. I'm sure it was pride, but I was kind of resistant to walk up to this stranger and just be so vulnerable. I laid over the chairs during the last session while Pastor Robbie preached. I just laid there in tears because it hurt too much to sit up straight. Bloom ended, and I was at the door handing out gifts with my good hand when I saw that specific woman was still inside. And at that point, I didn't hesitate. Getting to her felt urgent. I told her what I was experiencing, and no sooner did she start to pray, she stopped and she said, "The Lord just told me this is a spirit, and you know what it is." Without a doubt, I immediately said, "I do know what it is. It's a spirit of rejection." And I can only call this a supernatural knowing moment. This wasn't a spirit I had been conscious of or contending with. Yet when she said, "The Lord says you knew," I immediately did know. As I shared some of the things, I said, "But I've had healing in that area." And she replied, "I know you've had healing, but have you had deliverance?" And the light bulb in my spirit kind of lit up. Another person joined her in prayer, and frequently they would ask me to move my arm, and each time I was able to move it more and with less and less pain. The more they prayed, the more transparent and vulnerable I allowed myself to be. I was way out of my comfort zone in the natural, but in the sweetest spiritual place that I can recall. They finished praying, and I literally ran. I ran out to the lobby, my hands raised up in the air. I was jumping up and down. When Susie saw me, she burst into tears because she knew how much pain I'd been in, and she knew that I had received a miraculous healing. And while I've witnessed miraculous healings, I had not ever personally experienced one, and let me tell you, it's pretty rad. I loaded the truck up pain-free. I drove us home because I could. I woke up praising God for my healing. I played the song Gratitude on repeat all morning. I was thrilled when we got to church that it was also on the set list. And when it says, "So I'll throw up my hands and praise you again and again," it was so powerful. And I lifted my arms pain-free and I worshiped with everything in me. I was asked to give a 2-minute testimony in church that morning. And I also offered to record this full testimony for Bloom because I thought my healing was complete. I was wrong. By Tuesday, the pain was back and my spirit was crushed. I had already agreed to do the testimony, and I felt so defeated having to say that the pain was back. But God had other plans. Undeterred through prayer, God revealed that this was actually about the murder in my family in 2018. My world was shattered when my son was murdered. He had been shot in the back of the head, and then they burned his body, trying to cover up the evidence, so we had nothing to say goodbye to. Johnny's laughter was like music. It was so fun, so uplifting, and I'd give anything for just one more of his big bear hugs or to hear him laugh again. We never got to say goodbye. We never got to say that final I love you. And I'm just going to tell you guys, you never know when that moment's going to be. Just take the time. Say the things that you need to say. Hug him, kiss him, love him. His murderer was eventually found and has not been convicted yet. He is still in prison. We are still waiting for a trial. The court system is so backed up, but then because COVID hit, everything went on pause for a full 2 years that pushed it back even more. So it's been 5 years of waiting, of unanswered questions, bits and pieces of details, and a constant fear that he might get away with it, despite a mountain of evidence against him. When God revealed my shoulder pain had to do with this, I was asked if I had forgiven the man who killed him. And I began to explain immediately that I was working on it. And then since there was not a conviction yet, it was just unresolved, and I was sure that God understood. The more I justified and explained away my delayed forgiveness, the more convicted I felt, and finally had to come to terms with the final answer in my heart. No, I hadn't forgiven him. And further, I didn't want to. The same lady who had prayed with me at Bloom jumped right back into this battle with me. And what a godsend she is. We scheduled a time for prayer. When she asked me about the unforgiveness, I told her the same thing. I don't want to forgive him. He doesn't deserve it. She replied matter-of-factly, then, you've given the enemy full access to you and your body. And I knew she was right. I also knew that God had allowed this to be revealed specifically at this time because I was launching the grief ministry the same month this was happening. He wasn't about to let me lead others with this unresolved torment in my heart. And while it didn't feel like God's love in the midst of the pain, in fact, it felt like abandonment. I now know that he loves me so much that he allowed the pain to position me to get to the root of what was really going on. The Lord didn't just want to heal the symptoms on the surface, but he wanted to dig deep for the deliverance I needed. And had the pain not been as severe as it was, I wouldn't have gone for prayer. With the help of a prayer warrior, I spent a lot of time praying and walking through the forgiveness process that was long overdue. And we kept going until it was complete and the pain had lifted. The experience is something I will cherish for the rest of my life, which sounds crazy because it was hell. But my healing is something I have to choose to partner with God in every single day. The enemy wants first that spirit of rejection back on me so badly. Despite circumstances, I choose to resist those thoughts and feelings of rejection and partner with God's freedom and the truth that I received. I'm not about to hand back any of it to the enemy. Psalms 34:17-18, the righteous cry out and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit.